The signal appeared on Earth's deep space monitoring systems at 3:42 a.m. Greenwich time. At first, the technicians dismissed it as cosmic background noise or perhaps an equipment malfunction. But when the pattern repeated exactly 12 minutes later, and then again after another 12, even the most skeptical observer couldn't deny the artificial nature of the transmission. Laurel Quinn had been working the night shift at the Arecibo Observatory when the signals first came through. A 32-year-old astronomer with a reputation for spotting patterns others missed, she was the first to notice the mathematical sequence hidden within the signal's frequency modulations. "This isn't random," she told her supervisor over the phone at 4:30 a.m. "There's a clear sequence of prime numbers embedded in the transmission. Someone is trying to get our attention." Within hours, observatories around the world confirmed Laurel's findings. The signal originated from just beyond Neptune's orbit, in a region where no human spacecraft had yet ventured. The United Nations quickly assembled an emergency council, and within 48 hours, they made a historic decision. The International Space Vessel Pathfinder, Earth's most advanced exploration craft, would investigate the source of the signal. Captain Nathan Hale received his orders while the ship was resupplying at the lunar base. "We're diverting you from your Mars mission," Admiral Winters told him via secure channel. "This takes priority over everything else." 3 weeks later, the Pathfinder approached the coordinates of the mysterious signal. The crew had spent the journey preparing for every conceivable first contact scenario, but nothing could have prepared them for what they found. "My God," whispered Communications Officer Jack Daniels as the main viewscreen displayed the scene before them. "There must be hundreds of them." A vast fleet of vessels drifted silently in space. Their design was utterly alien, elongated structures with what appeared to be translucent sections that pulsed with dim blue light. The ships formed a rough sphere, with larger vessels at the center and smaller ones orbiting around them. But even to an untrained eye, something was clearly wrong. Many ships showed visible damage, and others drifted at odd angles, tumbling slowly through the void. "They're adrift," said Navigation Officer Samantha Wright. "No controlled movement at all." Captain Hale ordered a closer approach to the largest central vessel. As they neared, they could see strange symbols etched across its hull, possibly a name or designation in an alien script. More concerning were the numerous breaches visible along its side, evidence of some catastrophic event. "We're receiving a transmission," Daniels reported, his fingers dancing across his console. "It's coming from the central ship." The view screen flickered, and for the first time, humanity gazed upon an alien intelligence. The being had a chitinous exoskeleton, multiple compound eyes, and what appeared to be vibrantly colored plumage around its head. It chittered and clicked, making sounds no human vocal cord could produce. "Run it through the universal translator," Hale ordered. "See if we can make any sense of it." The computer processed the alien language, searching for patterns and potential meanings. After several tense minutes, broken words began to emerge. "Help, systems failing, life support critical, refugees." The alien seemed to be struggling to remain upright. Behind it, other figures moved frantically among what looked like control stations. Captain Hale made an immediate decision. "Alert Earth that we've made first contact with an intelligent species in distress. We're initiating emergency assistance protocols." He turned to his crew. "This is what humanity has trained for. These beings, whoever they are, need our help, and we're going to give it to them." Little did Nathan Hale know that this moment would change the course of human history forever, as Earth faced its first opportunity to prove itself to the wider galactic community. For 3 days, the crew of the Pathfinder worked tirelessly to establish meaningful communication with the aliens. Science Officer Eric Gibson led the effort, using mathematical principles as their foundation. By the 4th day, they had created a rudimentary translation system. "Their language has complex tonal components," Gibson explained during a briefing. "The clicking sounds change meaning based on pitch and rhythm. But we're making progress." The aliens called themselves the Vesperians. Through careful exchanges, the humans learned the devastating circumstances that had brought the fleet to Earth's solar system. Their star was dying, Gibson told the crew. Not gradually like most stars, but in a catastrophic and unexpected way. They had only months to evacuate their entire civilization. The Vesperian representative, who identified itself as Navigator Scree, explained through the translator that their fleet carried over 30,000 civilians in cryostasis chambers. They had planned to journey to a suitable colony world, but disaster struck when they encountered an uncharted energy storm in deep space. Critical damage to propulsion systems. The translation read: navigation computers compromised. Life support failing. Main power reserves at 12% capacity. Captain Hale ordered a careful inspection of the alien vessels. Wearing specialized EVA suits, Lieutenant Sofia Martinez led a team across to the main Vesperian ship. What they found was alarming. The cryostasis chambers are running on backup power, Martinez reported over the comm. From what I can understand of their displays, we have maybe 2 weeks before they start failing. If that happens, the refugees will die. Back on Earth, governments debated the appropriate response. Some leaders expressed concern about potential threats from allowing an alien fleet into the solar system. Others worried about the strain on Earth's resources if they needed to support thousands of refugees. We can't just turn them away, President Clark argued in an emergency UN session. If humanity wants to call itself civilized, we must help those in need, regardless of their origin. While politicians debated, Lieutenant Martinez made a critical discovery. She had been studying samples of Vesperian biological material with the ship's medical scanners. Their biochemistry is completely different from ours, she explained to Captain Hale. They're silicon-based, not carbon-based like us. That means there's virtually no risk of cross-contamination or disease transmission between our species. This information helped ease fears on Earth about potential biological threats. The UN finally reached a decision. Humanity would attempt to rescue the stranded aliens. As preparations began, Communications Officer Daniels intercepted transmissions between Vesperian ships. He brought his findings to the captain immediately. "Sir, from what I can translate, they were debating whether to tell us something," Daniels said. "I think they're hiding part of their story." Captain Hale confronted Navigator Scree during their next communication. "We're preparing to help you, but we need complete honesty. Is there something you haven't told us?" The alien's compound eyes flickered with changing colors, a sign of emotional response, Gibson had explained. After a pause, Scree admitted the truth. "Not only refugees," came the translated response. "We carry genetic repository of entire species, last survivors. If we perish, so does all trace of our civilization's existence." The revelation stunned the humans. They weren't just saving individual lives. They were preventing the extinction of an entire advanced species. Captain Hale requested an emergency channel to Earth. "Mr. President, the situation is more critical than we realized. This isn't just a rescue mission anymore. It's about preserving a civilization that took millions of years to evolve. If we succeed, humanity will have saved not just lives, but an entire cultural heritage." As the transmission ended, Hale gazed at the alien fleet on the view screen. For the first time in recorded history, humanity had the opportunity to reach beyond its own world and make a difference on a truly cosmic scale. The United Nations wasted no time after Captain Hale's urgent message. Within 48 hours, they formed a global response team called Operation Lighthouse. Ships from various nations were quickly prepared for the rescue mission. Engineers, scientists, and medical personnel volunteered from countries around the world. "We need to move quickly but carefully," explained Admiral Johnson during the mission briefing. "The Vesperians have technology we've never seen before. One wrong move could make things worse." Engineer Kevin Walsh, known for his innovative work in space habitation systems, joined the rescue team. At 36, he had already revolutionized life support technology on Mars colonies. Now he faced his greatest challenge. Their systems are failing in cascades, Walsh explained as he studied the Vesperian technical data. We need to stabilize the critical life support nodes first, then work on power distribution. 7 Earth vessels launched within the week, carrying supplies, equipment, and specialists. The journey to the Vesperian fleet took another 9 days, precious time that the aliens could barely afford to lose. When the Earth fleet arrived, they found the situation had worsened. 5 smaller Vesperian vessels had already lost power completely. The central ships were diverting their remaining energy to protect the cryostasis chambers housing their civilization's future. Dr. Olivia Reyes, a xenobiologist, led the medical team. Their physiology is like nothing we've ever studied, she told her colleagues as they prepared to board the alien vessels. Silicon-based life forms have completely different requirements for survival. We need to understand these differences before we can help them effectively. Meanwhile, on Earth, not everyone supported the rescue mission. Protests erupted in several major cities, with signs reading "Earth First" and "No Alien Invasion." Fear and misinformation spread through social media channels faster than governments could counter it. "They could be lying to us," shouted one protest leader on a viral video. "This could be the first step in an invasion plan. Why should we use our resources to help them?" President Clark addressed these concerns in a global broadcast. Throughout history, humanity has faced moments that define us. This is one such moment. Will we turn away those in need because they look different? Or will we show the universe that humans value compassion and courage above fear? Back at the alien fleet, diplomatic officer Carlos Mendez established the first formal contact protocols between humans and Vesperians. Despite the language barriers, he found common ground through symbolic representations of peace and cooperation. They communicate not just through sound, but through color patterns and pheromones, Mendez reported. "When I showed them images of humans helping each other during disasters, their upper appendages changed to a shade of purple that their translator indicated means understanding or recognition." The first major breakthrough came when Walsh developed adaptive connectors that could interface between human and Vesperian technology. This allowed Earth power systems to supplement the failing alien generators. "It's like trying to connect plumbing from 2 different planets," Walsh explained as he demonstrated the device. "Because that's exactly what it is." The work was dangerous. 2 human engineers suffered burns from exposure to unknown alien materials. A Vesperian worker was temporarily paralyzed when exposed to nitrogen compounds from a human air tank. Despite these setbacks, the teams continued their efforts. By the end of the second week, they had stabilized the critical systems on the 3 largest Vesperian ships. The most vulnerable refugees were safe for now, but much work remained. During a rare moment of rest, Captain Hale received a message from Navigator Scree. The translation was simple but profound. "Our ancestors spoke of other intelligent beings among the stars. Some we feared would destroy us. Others we hoped would understand us. Today, we know which kind humans are." As Hale looked out at the combined fleet of human and Vesperian vessels working together against the backdrop of distant stars, he felt a profound sense of pride in what humanity had chosen to become. The integration of human and Vesperian technologies proved more challenging than anyone had anticipated. As the rescue teams moved deeper into the alien vessels, they discovered fundamental differences in engineering principles. Their power systems run on something similar to plasma, but it operates at frequencies we've never seen before, Engineer Walsh explained to Captain Hale. "When we try to connect our equipment directly, it either fails or overloads." The Vesperian's chief engineer, whose name sounded like a series of clicks but translated roughly to "builder of paths," demonstrated their power distribution network. Unlike human systems that relied on circuits and wires, Vesperian technology used crystalline channels that somehow conducted energy without traditional conductors. "It's like they're routing electricity through something that should be an insulator," said Alan Rodriguez, a physicist from the Earth team. "Everything we know about conductivity doesn't apply here." Diane Foster, a materials scientist, worked day and night analyzing samples of Vesperian technology. On the 5th day of her research, she made a breakthrough. Their systems respond to harmonic resonance. She announced to the team, "We need to modulate our power output to match specific frequency patterns. It's not about voltage or amperage, it's about rhythm." Using Foster's discovery, the human engineers created adapter modules that could safely interface with Vesperian systems. Progress accelerated, but a new threat emerged. The damaged hulls of several alien vessels were leaking an unknown form of radiation. "It's affecting both humans and Vesperians," Dr. Rice reported after treating several cases of unusual symptoms. "Our teams are showing skin irritation and dizziness. The Vesperians are experiencing calcification of their outer shells." Protective protocols were immediately implemented, but the repairs couldn't wait. The cryostasis chambers housing thousands of Vesperian civilians were approaching critical failure points. Commander Lisa Patil volunteered to lead a dangerous operation to restart the alien flagship's core systems. "The radiation levels are highest near the main reactor," she told her team. "We'll have 20 minutes before our suits begin to fail." What followed was the most perilous spacewalk in human history. Patil and 3 engineers, along with 2 Vesperian specialists, entered the heart of the damaged vessel. Working in near darkness, with only emergency lighting, they navigated through twisted corridors of alien design. "We've reached the core," Patil reported, her voice tense over the radio. "Beginning the restart sequence now." For 15 agonizing minutes, the team worked to recalibrate the alien reactor. Twice, energy surges threatened to overwhelm their protective suits. One of the Vesperians collapsed and had to be carried by a human engineer. 17 minutes elapsed. Mission Control warned, "You need to start heading back." "Almost done," Patil responded. "We can't leave now." At 19 minutes and 30 seconds, the alien core hummed back to life. A soft blue glow spread through the crystalline conduits of the ship. "We've got it," Patil exclaimed. "Core restart successful." The team barely made it back to the airlock before their radiation protection failed. All survived, but with varying degrees of exposure sickness that would require treatment. The successful restart of the core system allowed power to flow to critical sections of the Vesperian fleet. Thousands of refugees who had been on the brink of death were now safe, at least temporarily. In gratitude, the Vesperians shared some of their astronomical data with the humans. Their star charts covered regions of the galaxy that Earth telescopes had barely glimpsed. "Their navigation system is incredible," marveled Samantha Wright as she examined the alien star maps. "They've mapped stellar phenomena we didn't know existed." As the combined human Vesperian teams continued their work, an unlikely friendship formed between Walsh and the alien engineer builder of paths. Despite having no common language beyond a crude translator, they developed a system of gestures and technical drawings that allowed them to communicate complex engineering concepts. "Sometimes I forget he's not human," Walsh told Captain Hale one evening. "When you're solving problems together, the differences seem to fade away. We're just 2 engineers trying to keep people alive." By the end of the 3rd week, the most critical systems across the Vesperian fleet had been stabilized. But the greatest challenges and revelations still lay ahead. As the immediate technical emergencies stabilized, humans and Vesperians began to interact beyond purely survival matters. Linguist Paul Nelson made a remarkable discovery while studying recordings of Vesperian communications. "They're not just talking with sounds," he explained to Captain Hale. "The color patterns on their head plumage change as they speak. It's a secondary language channel carrying emotional and contextual information." This revelation transformed the translation efforts. Nelson developed a modified camera system that could capture and analyze the color shifts. Soon, communication became much more nuanced and effective. The Vesperians, meanwhile, struggled to understand human behavior. A delegation of their scientists observed humans during mealtimes, rest periods, and work shifts, clearly puzzled by what they saw. "Why do you make decisions alone?" asked a Vesperian scientist through the translator. "Where is your central direction?" Captain Hale tried to explain concepts of individual choice and democracy, but the aliens seemed genuinely confused. Gradually, the humans realized the Vesperians function more like a hive mind, with individual actions always subordinated to collective needs. Their society evolved from hive-based ancestors, Dr. Rice theorized. They understand personal identity, but they don't value individualism the way we do. Every decision is evaluated by how it affects the group. Some humans found this perspective disturbing, while others saw wisdom in it. Cultural exchange sessions were established where both species could learn about each other in non-emergency settings. Heather Campbell, an artist who had joined the mission as a documentation specialist, created an unexpected bridge between the species. She began painting images of Earth landscapes, which fascinated the Vesperians. Their own art, they explained, focused entirely on mathematical patterns and symmetry. They don't have art for personal expression, Campbell told her colleagues. All their creative work serves specific social functions: teaching, recording history, or strengthening group bonds. When Campbell invited Vesperians to collaborate on paintings, something remarkable happened. The aliens added intricate geometric patterns to her landscapes, creating works that neither species would have conceived alone. These collaborative pieces became symbols of the developing relationship between humans and Vesperians. Both species discovered common ground in mathematics and environmental stewardship. The Vesperians had faced ecological challenges similar to Earth's climate crisis, though on a more catastrophic scale. They shared technologies they had developed for atmospheric management and resource conservation. "Your species is making the same mistakes we did," a Vesperian elder told the human delegation. "But you still have time to change your path." Not everyone on Earth welcomed these exchanges. Military intelligence intercepted communications from a fringe group calling itself Earth Defense Front. They had plans to sabotage the rescue operation, fearing alien infiltration or resource competition. Admiral Johnson ordered increased security around all communication systems. "We can't let fear destroy what we're building here," he told his officers. This could be the most important moment in human history. The Vesperians, aware of the mixed reception from Earth, responded with extraordinary openness. They invited human representatives to access their historical archives, learning about their civilization's development over thousands of years. "They've had 3 major wars in their entire history," reported Carlos Mendez after studying the archives. "The last one ended over 5 centuries ago, when they developed what they call consensus philosophy, a decision-making process that requires full consideration of all perspectives. As humans and Vesperians continued working side by side on repairs, personal connections formed despite the vast biological differences. Engineers taught each other technical shortcuts. Medical teams exchanged knowledge about treating injuries. Even the food preparation crews found common ground in the chemistry of nutrition, though the actual substances consumed were entirely different. "I never thought I'd be friends with someone who breathes silicon compounds," Lieutenant Martinez told Captain Hale. "But HFY is probably the best structural analyst I've ever worked with." The growing bonds between the species would soon be tested in ways no one could have anticipated. As the 4th week of the rescue operation began, alarms sounded throughout the Vesperian flagship. A catastrophic failure was imminent, threatening everything they had worked to save. The warning alarm screamed through the Vesperian flagship with a pitch that hurt human ears. Red emergency lights flashed in both human and Vesperian sections of the vessel. Captain Hale rushed to the command center, where engineers Walsh and Builder of Paths were frantically working at control stations. "The core stabilization is failing," Walsh explained, his face pale with exhaustion. "Something's happened to the main regulatory crystal. The reaction is becoming unstable." Through the translator, Builder of Paths added, "Energy patterns shifting. Containment weakening. Estimate critical failure in 3 hours." The implications were immediately clear to everyone. If the flagship's core exploded, It would destroy not only that vessel but likely damage or destroy the surrounding fleet. Thousands of lives, both awake and in cryostasis, would be lost. "Can we evacuate the refugees?" Captain Hale asked. The Vesperian engineer's head plumage darkened to deep indigo, a color Paul Nelson had identified as indicating grave concern. "Cryostasis units cannot be moved quickly. Systems too integrated. Moving would kill those inside." Hale made a quick decision. "Then we evacuate everyone who's awake. Get as many Vesperians as possible onto our ships." The evacuation order went out immediately. Human vessels prepared to receive Vesperian refugees. Medical teams created emergency adaptation chambers to accommodate the aliens' atmospheric needs. But when Captain Hale presented the plan to the Vesperian Queen, a being whose presence had only recently been revealed to the humans, she refused. "I will not abandon my sleeping children," her translator conveyed. Her color patterns shifted through shades of determination and resolve. "If they cannot be saved, I stay with them." The highest-ranking Vesperians all made the same choice. They would not leave their people in cryostasis, even to save themselves. In the engineering section, Walsh and Builder of Paths worked desperately to find a solution. They studied the failing core system, testing theories and discarding them almost as quickly. "The problem is the regulatory crystal," Walsh finally concluded. "It's fractured from the inside. No way to repair it remotely." Builder of Paths clicked rapidly, the translator struggling to keep up. "Solution exists. Manual stabilization possible, but requires physical presence in core chamber during energy realignment." "You mean someone has to go in there and hold the crystal pieces in alignment during the restart?" Walsh asked. "Yes, but radiation fatal to Vesperian physiology. Death certain." The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. To save the ship, someone would have to sacrifice themselves. "What about human physiology?" Walsh asked quietly. "What would the radiation do to us?" Builder of Paths consulted with Vesperian scientists. "Different effect. Still fatal, but slower. Human might survive 15 minutes. Procedure requires 12. Captain Hale stepped forward. "I'll do it." "No," Walsh interrupted. "With respect, Captain, I understand the core systems better than anyone else. It has to be me." Arguments broke out among the human crew, each volunteering for what seemed like a suicide mission. The Vesperians watched in apparent confusion, their color patterns shifting to hues that the translators couldn't interpret. Finally, Walsh prevailed. With just under 2 hours until catastrophic failure, he prepared for the mission. Dr. Rice injected him with radiation countermeasures, though she made no promises about their effectiveness. "The crystal chamber is at the very center of the core," Builder of Paths explained, showing diagrams. "You must hold fragments in precise alignment until new energy pattern establishes." Walsh nodded, memorizing the schematics. "Got it. And if it works, run immediately. Shielding will be minimal during restart." The engineer donned a specialized suit, the best protection they could improvise, and entered the access tunnel to the core. For the next 40 minutes, everyone monitored his progress through sensors and sporadic radio contact. "I'm at the crystal chamber." Walsh's voice crackled over the comm. "It's beautiful in here. Everything's glowing blue." Following instructions from Builder of Paths, Walsh removed his protective gloves. They were too bulky for the delicate work, and began manipulating the fractured crystal fragments with his bare hands. Kevin Walsh became a living legend among the Vesperians. As he recovered from his near-fatal radiation exposure, the aliens created a symbolic representation of his actions that they displayed prominently in their communal gathering spaces. The pattern, a series of interlocking crystals surrounding a human figure, became known as the Guardian's Sacrifice. "They don't have heroes in their culture," Paul Nelson explained to the other humans. "Their hive mentality means self-sacrifice is expected, not celebrated. But they've created a new cultural category just for Walsh." Back on Earth, the United Nations debated what to do with the alien refugees. Some nations offered territory, while others expressed concerns about resource competition. After weeks of negotiation, an unexpected solution emerged. Mars, President Clark proposed during an emergency session. We've begun terraforming the northern hemisphere, but it will take decades to complete. The Vesperians, however, could live in the current conditions with minimal adaptation. Their silicon-based biology actually functions better in the Martian atmosphere than Earth's. The Vesperian Queen, now able to communicate directly with human leaders via advanced translation systems, received the proposal with what her color patterns indicated was profound gratitude. "Your red planet would be a suitable home," she responded. "We can accelerate your terraforming process using techniques we developed on our outer colonies. Both our peoples could share Mars as it transforms." Scientists from both species quickly drafted plans for a Vesperian settlement on Mars. The alien refugees would establish their new civilization while helping humans transform the planet more quickly than previously thought possible. In return for Earth's assistance and the Mars settlement offer, the Vesperians shared their advanced propulsion technology with humanity. Engineer Rodriguez, working with Builder of Paths, began adapting the crystalline drive systems for human vessels. "This will change everything," Rodriguez told Captain Hale as they watched the first successful test. "Their drive technology operates on principles we hadn't even theorized. It can achieve near-light speeds with minimal energy consumption. The outer planets are now just days away instead of months or years." 1 month after the core crisis, the first Vesperian refugees began awakening from cryostasis. Their reaction to the news of their rescue by an unknown species was captured in a moment that would be shared throughout human media. Thousands of awakened Vesperians changing their plumage to matching colors of deep gold and blue, colors that Paul Nelson identified as representing profound gratitude and hope. A formal alliance treaty between Earth and the Vesperian refugees was signed on the deck of the ISV Pathfinder. The document, written in both human languages and Vesperian color script, established the principles for cooperation between the species and outlined plans for cultural exchange. Dr. Olivia Rise was appointed as the first human ambassador to the Vesperians. "I never imagined my xenobiology studies would lead to actual diplomacy," she said during the ceremony. "But I've learned that beneath our biological differences lie common values, survival, community, and the desire to understand the universe." The Vesperians revealed one final surprise. Their sophisticated deep space communication network had already sent messages about humanity to other spacefaring civilizations they had encountered during their history. "Other intelligences exist among stars," the Vesperian Queen explained to an astonished human delegation. "Some aggressive, some peaceful. All now know of humans who helped strangers without demanding payment. Your reputation spreads across galaxy." As the crisis phase of the rescue operation ended, planning began for the Mars settlement and future joint ventures. Captain Hale received new orders from Earth Command. He would lead a combined human-Vesperian expedition to explore deeper into space than any human had gone before. On the eve of his departure, Hale visited Kevin Walsh, now fully recovered thanks to Vesperian medical techniques. The engineer was preparing to join the first settlement team heading to Mars. "Did you ever think, when we first detected that signal, that we'd end up here?" Walsh asked, looking out the viewport at the combined fleet of human and Vesperian vessels. Hale shook his head. "Never. I thought we might find evidence of alien life someday, microscopic organisms or ancient ruins. Instead, we found friends." As the Earth ships prepared to escort the Vesperian fleet to Mars, news arrived from distant monitoring stations. Other alien vessels, previously unknown to humans, had changed course and were now approaching the solar system.